Touch Me is strange, unsettling, and absolutely not for everyone. But if your tastes run weird, the new Shudder original might be your kind of movie. Welcome to Scary World, where I walk you through the best, the worst, and the downright disturbing. I'm Arturo Padilla.
Hi.
And let's get into it. Two codependent best friends get hooked on the drug-like touch of an alien who may or may not be plotting to take over the world.
I feel like these days it's impossible to deny the existence of aliens. I just never thought the way that I'd find out would be live-action hentai.
The first category is production. Does this movie look good? Is it well executed? This movie was directed by Addison Heimann, and this movie looks good. It's polished and it looks crisp. Heimann's got a keen eye for color, and when the film leans into that saturated palette, it really pops. I just think it needed more of it. At times, this movie forgets what it's trying to accomplish and reverts back to a very plain, ordinary look. Unfortunately, outside of the color work, there's nothing here that jumps out as special. The production does a clean job, but this isn't where the movie is going to win you over. For production, Touch Me gets a 1 out of 2. Like I said, this movie looks good. There's nothing special here, but Addison Heimann knows what he's doing behind the camera, and he makes sure the shots are well composed and they're well framed, but everything here is just kind of normal besides those sequences that really pop because of the color use. The next category is story. Does this all make sense? Does it keep you engaged? The story and the script were also written by Heimann. This is where the movie starts to stand out. The story starts rather slow, but the sci-fi concept piques your interest from the jump. You stick around because you need to know what exactly is going on in this thing, and that curiosity is what carries you through the ups and downs of this movie. The comedic beats land well and really help the story move along. My biggest gripe with this story and the script is that it takes a while for it to actually get going. The second act especially needed more suspense and tension. It hinges on the promise of the premise and the audience's speculation when it should be tightening the screws. And that actually hurts the third act, which is great on its own terms, but ends up feeling very in your face and abrupt because the movie never properly built the tension to earn the payoff. For story, Touch Me gets a 1 out of 2. The concept is cool, it's fun, it has a very neat sci-fi undertone throughout the entire thing, which keeps you engaged in the movie, but I do wish they had built that suspense and that tension throughout the second act. That way the third act, when it does show up, it doesn't hit you right in the face. But that said, the story does do a good job of keeping your interest throughout the entire movie. The next category is ensemble. Does the cast have chemistry? Are the performances good? The cast is real good here, and it is the strength and the highlight of this movie. The movie leans hard on its actors to make sure that this whole thing works. The characters are developed nicely and the dynamics between them feel real. The dialogue lands very well through both the comedy and the drama. Nothing here is extraordinary or reinventing the wheel, but it's solid work from top to bottom. And the movie genuinely would not function without it. The cast is carrying the entire load and they carry it very well. For ensemble, Touch Me gets a 2 out of 2. I really like this cast here, and they really had to do a lot of the heavy lifting to make this premise work. All of them knew what their responsibilities were and they accomplished that very well. And if it weren't for them, like I said, this thing would have been a disaster. The next category is horror. Does it deliver the goods? Is it scary? The movie does offer up some blood and gore, but it doesn't really show up until nearly an hour into the movie. But when it does show up, the gore does surprise you with its ferocity. It's quite effective and it's all practical, which is awesome. That said, it's a long time to hold your horror back, and I do wish the movie sprinkled some of this good stuff throughout all 3 acts of the film. The payoff is a fun one, but it quite can't make up for how little there is to hold on to for most of the runtime. For horror, Touch Me gets a 1 out of 2. As I said, there is some blood and gore here, and you do get that in the third act, but you have to go nearly the entire movie without any of that good stuff. And that's a problem here, especially when you're making a horror movie, and the story could have used some of this throughout to make its point. The next category is legacy. Will anyone remember this movie 5 years from now? Does it leave a mark on the genre? Bottom line, this was a fun movie. It has a good story that starts slow and a little awkward, but if you stick it out, you'll get rewarded for it. The rewatch value isn't really there though. Once you know what's going on, That front-loaded intrigue that pulls you through the first time isn't there to pull you back. It's a good one and done. It's worth the watch, but not necessarily the revisit. For Legacy, Touch Me gets a 1 out of 2. This was cool. It was a cool movie with a cool premise. The comedy actually hits, and it helps you get through a lot of the slow parts of this movie. And the third act does deliver. But as I said before, I do wish they had built some suspense and some tension all throughout. They did their best with that, but at the end of the day, it wasn't enough. Now let's add it all up. For production, Touch Me got a 1. For story, it got another 1. For ensemble, a 2. For horror, a 1. And for legacy, another 1. Bringing the total up to a 6 out of 10. Touch Me is a slow burn that mostly pays off. The craft is fine, but the story's front-loaded and saggy in the middle. A strong cast carries this movie, but the horror makes you wait a long time for a payoff that's good, but not quite worth the price of admission. If your tastes run weird, you'll be glad you stuck it out though. I'm Arturo Padilla, and remember, it's a scary world out there, but I am here to walk you through it. See you next time.